Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we have a blind second prank deck with very small Mekk-Knight engine. I did put a Mekk-Knight prank video earlier. I kind of it uses a bigger Mekk-Knight engine, and I just felt that the problem with using a bigger Mekk-Knight engine, you don't have enough space for blowouts, and that kind of does become a problem since prank engine is also very chunky, so it just kind of becomes pretty meh if you're blinding second. So what I've done here is I've kind of compressed the Mekk-Knight engine to a more OTK and grind based engine instead of having an absolute like entire game section just for itself. Um, and a good thing about it is that you can also, if as long as the Mekk-Knight engine exists, you can also compress the Prankit engine. Since you just need one in rotation, even if you don't need multiple kids, as long as you just have one, it's good enough. Because even if they get ashed, you can still pivot into more Mekk-Knight plays. Well, the Mekk-Knight plays have become weaker since I took out the World Legacy stuff from my last video. If you want to check it out, it should be in the eye. But it's still grindy. You still have multiple +1 searches. You basically go pot of greed for free off one singular purple. It's insane. And you also have a lot more space for blowouts. And I've been performing really well on DB rated. I'll probably showcase a game at the end of the video with this deck. So let us get started. Starting off, we have the Prank Engine: 1 rock, 2 lamp, 2 drop, 2 fan. Just running 1 2 2 2 might seem a little sus, but the thing is that the Prankets, you only need one. You don't need multiples. You're probably just going to break on multiples. You'd rather see your blowout or your Mekk-Knight engine over those extra Prankets, which is pretty important, especially since there are certain blowouts like Alpha, Pankertops, Fantasma. Those just do even, they just help with damage and field presence, so the Prankets do just seem a little more insignificant. Um, but they are pretty core to your game plan and your main grind tool. The main objective is to blind second break your opponent's board, so whatever resources they invested into that board, it is just eradicated, and you just have a more favorable grind game after that, since double butler is not easy to deal with if you only have 3 cards in hand, for example. um, so that's kind of the main idea. You're trying to fiend out negate hand traps with your Mekk-Knights and all your opponent's field presence with your blowouts, even the Mekk-Knights too, if you can attack over your opponent's monsters with battle. So that's kind of cool. Just really small prank it engine. And I'll also show a combo tutorial kind of at the end, just to give you little kind of basics on what to do with one singular prankit, since I'm not running Pandemonium. The problem with playing Pandemonium, it locks you into prankits, and that's just really mad, to be honest. Locking yourself into prankits is pretty mad. It's not easy to make butler turn 1 with a Pandemonium. You have to wait until your opponent's turn, and you are playing blind second deck, so waiting for your opponent's turn is literally their turn 3, and that's just a bit too slow. So we're opting for Thunder Fusion over the Pandemonium. Mekk-Knight engine, triple Nightfall, triple Sky, 1 Eclipse. Your main idea with the Mekk-Knight engine is not to necessarily just get variety to a toolbox. Instead, they're mainly there as a grind game resource engine, just to make sure you don't just instantly lose out as soon as one of your prank kids get hand trapped. Like 1 Nightfall, you summon Nightfall effect, banish, search, blue sky, summon blue sky effect, search another Nightfall for next turn, and then during your next turn, the Nightfall returns. So you just went from 1 Nightfall to another one in hand and a blue sky on field. That's a +2. You can use Nightfall's effect, banish itself again, like search another blue sky, summon the extra blue sky, search an indigo eclipse, summon eclipse, move it, search a summon the extra purple in hand since you haven't summoned it this turn. You just absolutely wreck your opponents in terms of damage that way. It's just pretty difficult to deal with, and it can become overwhelming really quickly. Like purple's just a pot of greed every turn. Really broken card. Blue sky kind of in the same league. It just searches extra cards. Um, you usually want to search an extra purple, or in some cases even indigo, if you're either trying to push for damage, or you've already resolved a purple this turn, something like that. Um, So that brings us to Indigo. It lets you swarm extra Mekk-Knights, and it also deals, damage, which is kind of a theme with the Mekk-Knights. You get really big chonkers, and Lampsey's burn for game. If with all these big chonkers, you're at leaving your opponent on less than 1,000 life points half the time. So Lampsey's burn really just wrecks them. Maybe not necessarily if you're using your battle phase for stuff like Pankertops, Alpha, Fantasma, stuff like that, but still really strong, really strong cards. Not even necessarily for damage, but the resources they give you, it's just really good. We've got the triple Fantasma. It's the reason I'm running this thing is, well, one, Fantasma is pretty good this format. It really helps you against a lot of decks like Dragon Link, Prank Kids, invoked half of Dogmatica, invoked Shadal stuff, Dinosaurs too, Bird Up, Tri Brigade, all those upcoming decks too. So it's just a really good card against them. Being able to fix your hand so much, and being able to fix your hand is important because with the right assortment of just one card blowouts, you can just win the game on the spot with Fantasma. Not to mention it has a 2400 body and protects you from targeting. So if your opponent has like a Dragon Mate tidying, you can protect your Prankids from it. It's just a really good card. Like, for example, you summon Fantasma, right? And then you draw into like a Raigeki, and you have a Pranked in hand. Your opponent has Seal, Savage, Tidying, Pass, normal, pretty normal Dragon Link stuff. You can use Raigeki, bait out the Savage and negate, attack into Seal, bait out that, and then you can just go ahead with your Pranked plays, and if they like, well, they probably bounce Fantastic, but that's outside the point. Broken cards saves you from protection, and it also fixes your hand, which is really important with your blowouts. Triple Lancia, since I can only run 3 hand traps, Lancia is like really good this format. Really good, especially main deckable. In Prankids, it gets a little, in pure Prankids specifically, it gets a little worse just because since you are going first in that deck, it kind of conflicts with stuff like Battle Butler, and even some of the traps you might play like Ice Dragon's Prison. Like, that's kind of a point, but that's kind of personal choice, but Lancia still conflicts with that. And since this is blind second, you can use Lancia on your opponent's turn and then just go with your Prankids play on turn 2. It doesn't hinder you too much in that sense. It's just really good. On top of that, it can also set itself in a column, which can come up since it's your Mekk-Knights, you want columns. So Lancia really good. Fantasma is also important since it helps with your mech columns too. The cleaning boys, Pankertops, Alpha, pretty self-explanatory. They really help against monsters. So Pankertops and stuff, super good. Alpha also outs Dragoon, which is kind of big since this deck, it doesn't necessarily have a hard time against Dragoon since Prankid's place exists, but it's just really good card. One copy of Raigeki 2021. I know it sounds weird, but it's actually a really good card. Like, you don't see it a lot, but it's actually a really good card. It can win games on the spot. It might be a bit bad against some of the current decks like Shadal. Stuff is just protected by Winda specifically is protected by card effects. You have Prankades, Bow Wow Bark protects them from card effects. Against Dinosaur, you've got Misk, but in most cases, Raigeki is pretty solid, especially against Dragon Link. It baits out a free negate, which is very big. So, Raigeki 2021 best deck. Feather Duster for back row decks. We have a lot of hate for monsters. Like, all the Mekk-Knights just attack over them. Fantasma attacks over them. You've got Pankertops Alpha. You've got Raigeki. So now you kind of need more back row hate too. Otherwise, you're just going to fall out against them. So we have the Duster, triple Lightning Storm, triple Cyclone. Main deck Lightning Storm, you kind of need it since, you don't have too much. You don't have a lot of good back row hate. Like, for some reason, Konami just has a lot of the good ones banned. Like, for example, Giant Trunade, Heavy Storm, stuff like that. I wouldn't want to necessarily run Lightning Storm, but you know it's not that bricky either. Usually just OTK turn 4 regardless. Um, Triple Cyclone, another really solid option. Very important for permanently removing threats such as the opponent's, say, Golden Land spells or traps, even their Shadal Schism. A big thing with Shadal Schism is that if you pop it, all their fusion monsters just float into retrieving it. So Cosmic Cyclone's big there too. Prankets, Pandemonium, big there. They can't retrieve from graveyard anymore. Although it doesn't really matter, they usually run 2 of it. So Cyclone's really good. Triple Droplets, you can't run Dark Ruler no more in Pranked deck. Like the reason why you can't run Dark Ruler no more in Pranked deck is because of this then. This then means that you have to inflict damage with Lampsies, otherwise you are unable to summon from deck. So Dark Ruler no more just slaughters that, so you can't really run Dark Ruler. You have to kind of sell for Droplets. And the cool thing with Droplets is that, well, there aren't a lot of like destroy my board decks. Most of them just put maybe like, you usually just have Droplets maybe 1 or 2 monsters at most. So that's a really neat thing. Also helps against Dragoon, I guess. So Droplets really nice. Double Thunder Dragon Fusion for your double Butler. Depending on how like slow the game is, if they somehow out your first Butler and you are proceeding into a grind game, the second Thunder Dragon Fusion is really good, especially since you know it is able to float into a search for fancy, so you have that extra guaranteed Pranked in your hand. The one copy of Prankets Pranks, you only need 1 copy, you know, for obvious reasons. It's a continuous spell, and you can retrieve it from the graveyard. It also generates tokens, which can be big if you need to extend into Verte Anaconda or something on those lines. The 2 copies of Prankets Place, it's really good in terms of chain blocking. Like, since you are blinding second, you'll be able to chain block while link summoning a monster 99.9% of the times. Although since I am blinding second, I really want to run 3, but you just don't really have the space, and it can become bricky since you'd rather just have more back row and main just hate rather than an extra place. So unfortunately only 2 plays. Really good in terms of being able to both chain block and your fusion summoning Butler on your own turn, so you'll be able to make everything gain 500, and that's instantly just 2000 extra damage, which can be game winning in most cases. For the extra deck, we've got double Butler for, you know, double Thunder Fusion, 1 copy of Access Code, just to sweep up boards. It also outs Dragoon, also just demolishes back row decks. Well, not all back row decks, certain back row decks, they'd likely just use all their back row by the time you make Access Code, but really just sweeps those games up, you know, sweeps up boards if you just negate them with Droplets, you know, stuff like that. The 1 copy of Soldier of Chaos, in some matchups, this just summoning this card is game winning by itself. 1 Unicorn, 1 Phoenix, just, you know, extra toolbox removal. You go into them very often, just in case you're link climbing into an Access Code and you're outing stuff. Unicorn just pops back row. You've got double Dodo, 1 Bow Bark. You will be cycling through all 3 of these during your main turn. So you do want to run all 3 of them. Dual Do's pretty big. You do have to run 2 just because it's such a great card, being able to search your pranks in case it got stopped during your first time. So second time, next turn, you make another doodle, you can do, you know, your stuff. 2 copies of Verte Anaconda, as I said, 2 copies of Thunder Dragon Fusion, 2 copies of Butler, 2 copies of Verte Anaconda, the Holy Trinity. Triple Meow Meow, you do kind of have to run 3 since this is often your biggest choke point. So most of the time, if you are going to the grind game, you will cycle through multiple copies of Meow Meow. And running the 1 copy of Link Spider, this is mainly just to turn stuff like Prankets token, Lost World token, even a Gearsu token into a Link Spider. And this just gives you an extra effect monster, so any extender, any of your Fantasmas, Alphas, Dino Wrestlers, Mekk-Knights, any of that, even like Prank, oh wait, no, that's not an effect monster, but that's not the point. It just helps you go into Verte Anaconda, basically. It doesn't come up too much, but when it does, it's really clutch. Side deck's pretty basic. Triple Droll, Triple Nibiru, 2 Godarla. This is mainly for Bird Up and Tri Brigade matchup. It can also help against certain Dragoon decks and more like protect the castle style of decks, so do keep that in mind too. One copy of Mind Control. It's a blind second deck. It can come up sometimes, but you know, depending on the monster, Mind Control is just broken. Um, Especially against Prankit's mirror match, because Mind Control Battle Butler, everyone gangster until they Mind Control Battle Butler. I believe it can declare its effect. Well, honestly, against Prankits it doesn't matter. Let's be honest, it doesn't matter against Prankits since you know they're protected by Bow Wow. But you know, Mind Control, really cool card. Just use it. Use your opponent's Prankits to link summon your own Prankits. It's pretty funny. Um, Triple copies of Ice Dragon's Prison, 2 copies of Stormstrike, 1 copy Red Reboot. This is if your opponent forces you to go first, if they find out what you're on. Only 2 copies to try, because, you know, I couldn't find space for a third one, but let's ignore that. And 1 copy Red Reboot, 4 back row decks to just guarantee OTK. So, that is kind of a deck. I'll probably show you a quick combo right now. So, right here we have the combo. Any Prankid, I just drew Fancies. It can be any Prankid. But you do want access to Fancies. If you start with Fancies, you're going to use this effect. Dump a place and summon out any other Prankid except Roxy's. Do not summon Roxy's. Summon either Lamp or Drop. Let's see, what the mill. Where's the place? Yeah, over here. Now, Lampsies or Dropsies, anyone is fine. If you didn't start off with Fancies, then summon the fan over here. You'll now link into a Doodlebird. You'll actually go for chain link 2 Doodlebird, since even if your opponent negates the Doodle, you can still go into Verte plays, so it doesn't matter that much. So chain link 2 Doodle, searching the pranks, and then Lampsies will burn them for 500. Summon another Prankid you haven't gone through yet, i.e. Dropsies. You'll use the Doodlebird's effect, tribute itself, grab back the place and the Fancies. You want to get Fancies out of your graveyard. This also helps play around Ice Dragon's Prison somewhat if, you know, your opponent... if you're going to grind game and you have Butler, you don't want to lose your Butler to Ice Dragon's Prison or something on those lines. So, I'm going to grab it back. I'm going to go ahead, activate place, search a Dropsies or Lampsies, any one of those are fine. You just want an extra one of those in the graveyard, and you'll immediately discard it off the Prankid's Pranks, discard and summon. Now you will go ahead, link those 2 off into another Doodle Dude. You'll use Dropsies effect, gain 1000. If I can like actually type 1000, you will gain 1000. Summon out a Roxy's now. Summon out Roxy's after you've made your second Doodle Doo, or at least after you've searched a Fancies, because banishing Fancies is like kind of important, I guess. But you know, banishing Fancies is kind of important since, you know, maintains advantage. Let's just say we're gonna use Roxy's banish, draw. So this can represent any draw, and then the Roxy's will summon another Prankid you haven't, your pretty much last Prankid in deck. This will be Dropsies. You don't want some Fancies. You want 2 Dropsies and 2 Lamp in your graveyard. Now you go into the Verte, pay 2000, and a lot of people forget that Thunder Dragon Fusion can shuffle back your banished fusion material. So we can shuffle back the banished Fancies. This can actually come up in ordinary Prankits too if you are running Thunder Dragon Fusion, so keep that in mind. Dropsies and Lampsies, shuffle all of them back into a Butler. Don't forget to use Prankit's Place effect in order to give everything 500. It can be game saving. Well, not necessarily. If your opponent has something in like a column or something, you can summon Blue Sky too if you want. But let's just say it's just a random card. We'll use Prankit's Pranks effect in order to shuffle the 2 Dodos and the 1 Roxy's. You want to keep Bow Wow Bark, Dropsies, Lampsies, and Meow Meow in the graveyard. Shuffle and draw. So now you've gotten 2 draws. You have got Pranks on field, you have Place on field, Verte, Butler, and in total this is pretty much +5 in card advantage. During points turn, the reason why I kept these three in particular in the graveyard. If your opponent outs the butler, then you are able to use butler's effect, summon back Bow Wow, and then you can use Bow Wow's effect, or to tribute yourself, grab back these two. And you know, that way you're just maintaining extra advantage and extra follow-up, so you know, you're pretty good in that sense. And that's kind of the main combo. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe. I've been actually doing pretty decently well on DB rated with this deck, and I personally feel it's really fun and cool too. Just being able to blind second with the deck that loses to an Ash Blossom. It's really funny and pretty cool. So you don't have to play cancerous cards like Tikaboo and Mystic Mind to win. You can just run Mekk-Knights. It's kind of funny. It's kind of unoptimized, I might say. It's still an early build, but you know, it's doing well. If you enjoyed the video, as I said, subscribe. Only like 3% of you subscribe. It's depressing. But I will see you next time then. Goodbye.